Hey folks, how are you? How's it going? Good so far? Okay. All the people who left have no idea that the money man is on stage, and they are gonna miss the big conversation. I'm excited that Mit is here. Mit has been my best friend for the last month.
Yeah.
Before that, we had never talked.
So good. So good. Been big fan for a long time.
But has been a big fan for a long time. This is true. He's not just like saying it he's wearing a Skift cap.
Yeah. Well, you told me, he says, listen, I understand, you usually wear a tie. Do not wear a tie. And so I tried to put whatever that might be cool on, and then you gave me this awesome hat.
Yeah.
So here we are.
Yeah, you should have seen his dress at NYU hospitality stage 2 days ago versus here. He's a lot more relaxed.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know Mit, one, I can pronounce his last name, so that first name, because that's as an Indian we can do so he doesn't. Do you like Mit or Mitesh?
Well, Mitesh is a given name. Mit is usually,
how people know you.
My best friends call me, so that you should probably call me Mit. Yeah.
Mit. Okay, I'll call you Mit.
Yeah.
So, Mit runs this firm called Noble Investment Group out of Atlanta. Also, by the way, he owns a piece of the Atlanta Hawks. And so, if any of you want, I don't know how the team is doing. I have no idea. I don't know anything about American sports.
Yeah. Perennial, play-in team that needs to get better. So
that needs to get better.
Yeah.
What do you think of our hometown thing that's happening
I thought it was a very good testament that leadership matters, and Jalen Brunson did a terrific job putting that team on his back, and they did great, and I know they want to do more. So
did we win or lose? I have no idea what happened. I just know that I saw photos of it. Did Knicks win? Who was the other team? Pacers. Oh, I went to IU. Okay, that's great. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So I guess I went to IU when Reggie Miller was like the thing. So that was a long time ago. Okay. So the reason I have him here is because you've spent your life in real estate and hospitality. You talk to all the big CEOs. You have hotels that you invest and run. Not run, but invest and own and for all these big brands. One of the things I wanted out of the conversation is when Chris was on the Skift stage 2 years ago, Nasera, one of the questions I asked him was, what is the conversation happening at the big CEO level and the board level about AI?
Yeah.
It's probably too early a question at that point.
Right.
Was it the year before or last year? It was the year before.
Yeah.
And so the reason I wanted to use, I want a view from the top on what are the conversations and how are you, as somebody who has $5 billion under management to invest, you just bought 16, what did you just buy?
Yeah.
Woodspring?
Yes, exactly.
And your sort of spectral view, talking to all the big CEOs, I'm sure. Do you have a board?
No, we do not have a board. Well, we've obviously got through our institutional platforms, advisory boards.
Advisory board. So what are the conversations happening at that level, or is it beyond conversations at this point?
Yeah, so I'd say a couple of things. One, I'm old enough to remember as we were all thinking about the dot-com age and what that could mean to our business, and everyone knew 3 people in a garage who was trying to figure out what was happening next. This is different. I actually believe that this could be very much like our industrial age, and so it's been very fascinating. You and I had this conversation about being fast followers in that type of thing. But maybe let me go back to that conversation you had with Chris. I think Chris is one of the people that thinks about this on an ongoing basis, and from a platform, Hilton has leaned in on technology and strategies. But it actually dovetails back to the conversation you and I had earlier, which is 10 years ago, Hilton and Marriott had 50 million global loyalty members. And it's the same amount that Amazon had 10 years ago in their Prime members. And I think what's interesting there is that if you fast forward 10 years, Hilton has 220, Marriott has 250, Amazon has 263. Amazon gets to touch their customers in different ways. It went from books, obviously, to shipping, to groceries and electronics, but streaming And essentially every part of one's life, and I think we all recognize that, you know, if anybody wanted to buy these incredible Adidas shoes, you know, you'd go on adidas.com and kind of look at it, but then you might end up going back to Amazon to go buy them because that's where your trust factor happens.
Yeah.
So now what happens, and going back to the AI question, these big brands, and let's just stay with Hilton and Marriott for a moment, they want to figure out how to take that global loyalty customer that they do not get to touch in meaningful ways other than their lodging and their travel experience journeys, and figuring out more touch points, because more touch points provides better
Yeah.
data. Now that data can now get powered with AI, and actually now you can start monetizing. Why? Because you can personalize it, and the more personalization, you get more share of wallet spend. So what's happening, I think, is interesting, that dovetails to this question about AI, is that they are on this search of how do we get more and more data about customers beyond just their travel journey. We want to know how they live and what they, you know, prioritize. And so it shouldn't be surprising that Marriott is in the multifamily business. They're in the homes and villas business. They're in the cruise business. And you know, I think in this conference next year, you'll be like, did you just see that, like, so they're in the student housing business and now in the active adult business? And why is that? Because the trust factor of a brand, it doesn't matter which one, you know, that you know, card that you carry, helps give you the ability to think about where do you not only want to stay, but where you could live, where you could play, and then these unique experiences that they are looking to provide all of us in this room and a global audience that is emerging, especially in the middle class, as you and I know, gives them the ability to get that data, to personalize things, utilize AI, spin it, and create these customizable offerings that gives you everything that you want to know, that you want to do. So your children, our children, will grow up and probably staying in a branded student housing because there's trust. And then we'll find
universities are alive by then, but yes, go ahead.
Yeah, but listen, I mean, I was being a trustee for my alma mater. You know, that's a whole other subject, you know, as it relates to that. But your big state universities, and again, in terms of just thinking about where people go, you know, that to multifamily, to flexible accommodations, to active, you know, lifestyle type things. And I think that's what's interesting about our business, because, you know, we can talk today about hotels. It is more than that today. And as we go forward, it's going to be more than that. And that's beyond just going from 50 million loyalty members to 250. It is actually about utilizing that data to create much more lasting experiences. And it's funny, you and I were talking about a comment I think Barry Sternlicht made, you know, earlier this week, and just about like, hey, you know, big brands watch it, more bespoke, you know, brands are coming after you. And I think that's true. I think that's always
true, but also the big brands are buying out everybody and nobody's left.
Yeah, and we also agree that there's too many brands and right now, but the reality is that we're going to go from too many hotel brands to now a scenario whereby living becomes a component of that. And that's where I actually believe the data and the technology through AI makes this a lot more interesting than, oh, well, what's the latest brand that Marriott, you know, bought Citizen M? Okay, I don't even know how to differentiate that from, you know, AC or whatever.
But let's not go there because that's a different conversation.
Yeah.
In terms of you as the real estate heritage,
right?
Is that a fair characterization?
Sure. Yeah.
And real estate is all about what's the next opportunity.
Yeah.
How do you do it currently?
Yeah.
How do you identify opportunities currently? How manual it is, and how is data and now AI, are you thinking about it?
Yeah, it's a terrific question. So in its simplest form, back to real estate, it is a street corner business. You can say, hey, I'd like to be in New York City. Well, really, what part of New York City? I'd like to be in Atlanta. What part? And then every street corner matters. So the data that drives that decision tree in terms of where do you want to be, it's beyond local GDP, eds and meds in terms of what that, you know, where the U-Hauls are going with the, you know, younger people traveling, et cetera. It's a series of leading and lagging indicators that you're paying attention to.
Like where's the coffee shop, the hip coffee coffee shop and people are coming in? Is that
yeah,
is that
and it's
factoring in
also
that?
well, and then yes, and then what are the neighborhoods that are getting created that hip coffee shop wants to go into, where demand patterns are moving, and we all know, depending on where we live, all of a sudden it's like, hey, we lived in this part of town, but like, have you seen what's going on the west side, or have you seen what's happening over here? And there's this beyond regentrification of what's taking place. There's commerce taking place, and if there's commerce, people want to live there. People want to live there, they want to work there, and if they want to work there, like that kind of drives vitality. And so I like to say this: the markets that have mattered, they're not always going to matter in that same way. I'll just take Atlanta for a moment. For anyone that's been in Atlanta, Buckhead, you're probably like, oh, I know Atlanta. I've heard about Buckhead. That is not the economic engine of Atlanta anymore. It's Midtown Atlanta, and it's actually not the east side of Midtown Atlanta. It's actually the west side of Midtown Atlanta. That if you were there, I don't know, 7 or 8 years ago, you're like, what are you even talking about? That's like, there's nothing over there, and that's kind of where it's all moved. So you look at the big macros like Chicago, you look at the big macros like San Francisco, and you've seen what kind of geopolitics have played in terms of just the overall economy. So there's a lot of those things that take place. Back to your question. So the data matters. It's leading, it's lagging. You have to prioritize what takes place. So historically, we've taken that data from a number of different places, right? And we've spun it ourselves to say, here's what it is. And you can imagine the amount of decks that you kind of look through, et cetera. The quality of the data is actually pretty good, which now allows us to think about an environment, and a lot of this is not unique. I mean, a lot of the large investors in Blackstone and Brookfield and and us, like we're utilizing this, whereby you can take this and in real time, it allows you, Rocco, the kind of the research version of ChatGPT gives you the ability to spin all of that and actually in real time see where the trends are going. And so I find that is a growing way, and we're the front end of all of this, to think about how to involve, take good data, put it into a system that allows you to make better decisions as we go forward.
Is all of that data dashboardable now for you?
Yes and no.
So there are all the people in this industry sitting in front of you.
Yeah.
They're trying to build solutions for you and the industry.
Yeah.
What do you want from them?
Yeah, I think having the ability to having the ability to be taught, and this is important, what does good data mean? And how to continue to have access to the proper amounts of information that gives you the right feedback loops. And then how do we think about putting that together in a way that is digestible information, and then validate that information in terms of the actuality of the research, that we're putting that and the outcome. So yes, we're going to buy it at State and Main in this market because this is where the data kind of drove us to do that. Was that supported in actuality, or did we miss something? And how does that learning, continue to enhance our ability to make good decisions?
Future decisions.
Yep.
As well.
Yep.
Are you using ChatGPT yourself?
Yes.
How?
As just slightly above a novice, in that I've used it in ways that gives me research and information on people that I'm meeting. If I'm on the road quite a bit, meeting like we're in Seoul and Tokyo, in the Middle East, et cetera, and different investment platforms and the like. And I found it to be an incredible way of giving me just very easy to digest information on the people that I'm meeting with, and know them in a little bit more of a personal way, and or also understand things that they have done. And there's obviously enhanced elements to that. I mentioned Rocco, others that give you better research around that. I'll also say in an honest moment, I think my sociology minor gave me more of a benefit than perhaps anything that I had done from a formative education. I got a chance to have Maya Angelou as a professor, and everybody knows a Maya Angelou quote, but like the whole class, she just wrote up on the board. It's that people won't remember what you said or did, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. Yeah. And then she goes, this whole semester is going to be having you understand how people feel in different scenarios and circumstances, and I don't know that you can learn empathy, but we're going to try. And so that was an entire journey of understanding where do people come from, how do they react to words, to a tone, and a variety of other things that kind of elicit the responses that you want. And so I've kind of in my entire life felt like my writing is like one of the things that I can count on in terms of being able to write and convey messages, et cetera. And so I've kind of now have a friend here in ChatGPT to kind of take the things that I write and give them, this is the tone that I'm trying to elicit. So whether it's an investor report or whether it's some other means, et cetera, I've used it that way.
Have you created a custom GPT based on your previous writings?
I haven't.
I'll teach you how to do that.
That would be awesome.
So, just because then it will write in your voice.
Oh, that's so good.
It's just trained on all your previous writings, pre-AI age writings. Yeah. And you can ask it to write in your tone, and it will do it. It actually does a pretty good job. What I do is I do a voice note into ChatGPT, and it's really good at taking the voice note, and then it spits out something, because I have a custom Rafat GPT, whatever it is. And then, it's, I guess, 90% of the way there. Okay. It used to be 70% maybe a year ago. Yeah. And now it's 90% of the way in my tone. Right. And then I edit and sort of go back and forth a little bit. And it's actually really good. I've written memos internally, externally as well, using it. So yeah, that'd be great. That'd be I had a question. I got sidetracked. Sorry. In terms of the investing world, you would assume that the investing world is the one that will be in the cutting edge of AI, using AI because it gives you that, that microsecond of advantage in the trading world. Yeah. Is that coming to your world, or does it matter? Like, does speed of decision making matter in your world, and will AI supercharge it or not? Yeah, so I think it's a question that we talk about a lot. Our investors in our funds, they're large state pension plans, sovereign funds, foundations, et cetera, and everybody has a curiosity around not only the speed of decision making, but the accuracy of that decision making. And so the curiosity is important. But you just asked me a question about a customizable GPT, and I was like, please, like, this is the next thing that we're going to go do. I think the most important thing that I can do as CEO of Noble is to make sure that what we've done over 32 years in terms of our track record and all that kind of stuff, there can be some hubris involved in some of that. Like, hey, we know what we're doing. We're specialists, et cetera, and changing behavior in terms of like utilizing things differently than what has taken us to where we are today. I think is a challenge for all organizations, especially ones that have been around as long as we have, with a team that's been together for a long time. So I would say that the speed, while important, I think that really the most important thing is not to focus on what are the things that we should look to implement that we can be fast followers, that has had like proven concept, and then that creates the ability to say, okay, now what's next? Now what's next? And I think from the investment world standpoint, this is all very unique, because you hear hyperbole like, oh, it's coming for everyone's job, and you're not going to have to go into a market and see things anymore, et cetera. But you really want. What's your view on it? I'm sorry? What's your view on that part? Would you take away your jobs, and in your world, will you need less research analysts? Yeah, I was a part of a group that we went and spent a day with the Salesforce leadership, and maybe it's just the ethos of the place, right? And how they think differently. Like, I go out and I'm like, I don't even know how I would use a non-human direct report right now, and I'm just trying to wrap my heads around it. But I think you have to be. This is where this is important, and I mentioned that I'm a big fan. You're helping lead the conversation with people like me in my industry. And by you mean Skift.
But yeah, by Skift.
Yeah.
And
I
this
just
is
trying to get
this
the
is not a
right
commercial, even though I'm wearing the hat, and I love this. I love this
Yeah.
hat. But really, like what we need in our world, in real estate and investing, is to actually be around people that like are in this room and talking about what they are doing today. It's not it's not their future. It is the now. Yeah. And how do we think about what's happening now relative to our future? And what is going to be sticky. And I don't tend to play in like, oh, you know, you asked me a question like, do I think that it's coming for everyone's job or this or that? I think that things are going to be very different, hopefully more efficient. If I think about it, like how does it create real efficiency and time and accuracy? There's a question here that I'm looking at. How are the Hawks using data AI to structure player deals, make roster moves like that?
Yeah. Let's answer that.
It's fascinating. Like I think every head of analytics in the NBA, I'm just making a generalization. Actually, there's two interesting points. The best age for a player in the NBA is 27 because your body has been fully developed. You've got years of experience, and maybe for those of you who have kids, I have a 27-year-old son. It's like, okay, you're more fully formed than I think I remember you than that you were, et cetera. And then they've still got some trajectory in terms of going ahead. So like physicality, that's the best. That's your best contract years, kind of there. But the average age of the head of player analytics, making decisions on this person's a 97, this person's a 93, so this person at 97 makes $65 million a year, and this person at 93 makes $18 million a year. I'm just giving you a thing. That person's 27 years old. They're 27 years old. It's a $150 million payroll, and they're driving that. And I think what's fascinating is it's not because they know how to code a Python and like it's just like it's like where they are. So one of the big things that I've focused on, again, 32 years of when I started the business, is I want to get younger and smarter and more adaptable all at the same time, and coming from different industries as opposed to just purely coming out of hospitality, real estate, or this or that, because that's more malleable. Like they can think of things and then they can bring it to the broader organization.
Well, let's leave it at that optimistic note. Thank you, Mit.
Very
Appreciate
good.
it coming.
Thank you, Rafat. Thank you.